Hi guys, welcome back to the video. In this video, I kind of want to talk about what happened to Penelope because you guys probably have seen that Penelope has not been in any of my videos. So, I want to explain everything that happened. For people who might not be like on my channel, I had a husky named Penelope. She was the last dog I got. She was a puppy. So she just turned 2, actually recently-ish. But I no longer have her, and I'm just gonna get into it. I have filmed this video like 4 different times, but it's like I keep making the video way too long, so I need to kind of cut some things short. But I'm gonna start off by saying when I first got Penelope, everything went fine. All the dogs were like okay with each other. I introduced them pretty decently, slowly throughout a week. I introduced them and stuff, and they did great. Penelope was a puppy. And then I would say like 4 months later, Stella and Penelope started like fighting over stuff. So, like there'll be a toy on the ground. So I was like, okay, the dogs would have to go in their cages to eat because Penelope would try to go into Stella's bowl, or Stella would try to go into Penelope's bowl, something like that, or Echo would try to go. If Penelope was eating and any of the dogs even walked anywhere close to her, it started a fight. Every single one of my dogs, all 3 of them, have fought with Penelope. So it kept getting to that point where I was slowly having to get rid of so many things. The dogs weren't allowed on my bed anymore. About that, I think I got ding dong ditched again, but they knocked really softly this time compared to their very hard knock. Slowly things started having to get taken away. Like, first it started off with when they were eating, they needed to be separate, and then there couldn't be any bowls on the floor except for the water bowl. Then they would fight over toys, and they would fight over blankets, then they started fighting over me, then they started fighting over water. Like, if Stella were to go get a drink of water, it was mostly, Penelope hated Stella, and she started all these fights with Stella, and Stella is like one that, like, all dogs, or mostly every dog, especially like me, if someone started fighting me, I'm not gonna be like, oh man, I'm gonna fight back, right? I feel like someone's like standing right there. It's creeping me out. I don't blame Stella at all. Like, she didn't start any fights, but it would be like Penelope would target Stella. So then it got to a point where I had to do crate and rotate between Stella and Penelope, and they had to switch. But then Penelope and Echo would start getting into a fight. So then I had Stella and Echo, and then Penelope, they were in a crate and rotate. Then it started getting to be Maui. So I'd have these 3 dogs crate and rotate, and then Penelope, and then the house got really tense. So then all the dogs started fighting, like, a lot. So then it was just like, ugh. Like, I would try to slowly stop the crate and rotate, like, and then they'll do fine for a couple weeks, and then the fighting would start back up. I took Penelope on extra long walks, and we ran around, we went to the park, we did a bunch of training. I talked to trainers, and they were like, yeah, do this. That's actually, I heard about crate and rotate, but then they were like, how about you start with that, and then we'll slowly start reintroducing all the dogs again, and that's what we were doing, and it was just back and forth. Once all the dogs started fighting each other because of the tenseness in the house, it was just I worked 12-hour shifts 6 days a week or whatever, and it was just like on night shift, like 6 days a week. I mean, like, I did 6 in a row, and then I would have 8 days off afterwards. So the 8 days off, it was fine, but for the 6 in a row, I was gone for 12 hours of the day, and then they were all in the cage when I was gone, except for Maui. Maui's the only one I could trust being outside the cage, because she won't destroy anything. Like, I could leave a burger on my side table, and she won't eat it, because she's a really good dog. But Maui would be the only one able to be out, and then when I would sleep, I'd have to pick a dog to be out, and then I would not sleep too long, and I'd have to walk the dogs, and then it was just, I was exhausted. I was a CNA at the time, so I'm doing 12-hour CNA shifts, and then taking care of the dogs, and, you know, only sleeping like 2 hours practically, and then doing all these shifts in a row. I was exhausted all the time, and that also didn't help with the tenseness because I was like, I had no patience, so if something happened, I just like a meltdown. I have ADD too, so like I get those meltdowns, overstimulated, and it was just, oh my god. Penelope would also, like, she would scream if we were separated a lot. Like, she had separation anxiety, which I don't even know where that came from. Like, she would be, like, how do I explain this? I should be finding me in the cage in my room or the cage in the room next to my room. But if I put her outside and I didn't go outside with her, she was screaming, jumping on the door. She actually broke pieces off of our sliding glass door. Not the glass part, but the plastic all around it. And the screen. When I left for work, or if I left the house to go get the mail, when I came back, it was screaming when I came back. And so when I would work 12-hour shifts and my brother and my mom would come home, it was screaming and screaming. And they would get upset. And then when I came home at 6 a.m. because I worked night shift, well, it was like more closer to 7 a.m. Not 6 a.m. It was 7 a.m. because I got out at 6:30. But she would scream, and they're trying to sleep because they worked afternoon shift, and she's screaming and screaming, and it was just, oh my gosh. Ugh. So we were about to move to Arizona, and I originally planned the whole time we were going to take her along, and we were going to end up having 5 dogs in a car all at once. But we're getting closer and closer moving to Arizona, and I'm just thinking, like, I can't do this any longer. Like, the stress of doing this, I could not do it any longer. And I'm like, it would be best to rehome her and for her to stay in Michigan where there's winter and stuff, because she's a husky, and instead of being in Arizona, which I think she would have been fine because her fur never got too thick. It was kind of weird. She was like a weird husky. Like, she never had those, like, pieces of fur really that I could pull out. She shed okay, and she wasn't really too puffy in the winter. Like, she didn't have like a very, very thick winter coat. I don't know why. Brother was also like that. Well, he had like a lot of fur in his chest, but then his like hips, not really. And he was like, so I made a post. I made a Craigslist post, and then after like a week of that, we were getting closer to us actually moving, and I was like, okay, like, I don't want to put her in a shelter. I was not going to put her in a shelter, drop off in the pound. Like, if I did not find a home for her, I was going to move to Arizona with her and find a home for her. I don't even know how we would have moved to keep the dogs separate. I don't even know how that would have worked out at all. But I posted in a free group on Facebook for pets. I was like, anyone want a husky? You know, she's purebred. She's, you know, this age. Someone messaged me like that same day, and they're like, I'll take her. And then, yeah, like a couple days later, she picked up Penelope. I have her on Facebook. She's a Facebook friend. I get updates on Penelope. She said whenever I go to Michigan, I could always visit Penelope, because the thing is, like, the last couple times I make this video, I need to like explain that I did love Penelope. I'm gonna say this too, I never wanted a husky, right? I made a video about that. But I really did love Penelope, and I think if I only had Maui and her, or if I only had her, or like, if I just had 2 dogs, definitely not Stella. If I had her and Echo, or her and Maui, or just her, I think it would have worked out, but her and Stella, for some reason, did not clash, and things like that happen. When you have pets, sometimes they don't get along, you know? Like, they don't get along, and it's just, you know, there's nothing you can really do about it. There's people you could see on TikTok, and they have, there's one person, I can't remember her name is, but she has a dog named Salem, and then another dog, and I can't remember what her golden retriever's name is. I can't remember. I haven't seen their videos in a while, but her dog Salem, she keeps having them fight, and then she has to separate them. I'm thinking the same people. I think I am. I don't know. But it's one thing when it's 2 dogs, but when it's 4 dogs, it's a lot harder. I do miss her. Like, I think about, like, her, and I'm like, man, I miss Penelope. Because she had, like, qualities to her, which this is a video about why I got rid of her. There's just things. And she had the potential to be a good dog, but it just, I don't know what happened. It just didn't, they just did not clash. I wish they did, because I did like her, except for I got really annoyed with the whenever I left the house, she would scream and that she wouldn't be outside alone. Which I don't even know how that would have worked here. I mean, we wouldn't be able to live in this house because the house I'm living in right now was the only house that we could find that allowed German Shepherds. Like, the houses here, like, they have breed restrictions, and this house allows German Shepherds, but no Huskies. And then the last houses we tried, a couple of them said no German Shepherd, no Husky, because after we looked at the house, I looked up their pet policy or whatever, and I was like, well, we can't live here. And then, but most of the time, it was either they allowed German Shepherds or they allowed Huskies. And I was like, okay. So, it's almost better. She's doing a lot better. She actually, I'll talk about her situation now real quick. The person who took her has a Husky that's a service dog, and has another dog, and she also has, like, I think a cat, and then some, like, reptiles. And, you know, she has a husband, she has kids. So I think Penelope was able to get, you know, because if something did happen where she fought with those dogs too, for some reason, they were able to more manageably separate, I think, those dogs. But she does great. She's not fighting with those dogs, which I love, or at least she's not told me that they fight. The lady takes her to church events, so Penelope is always out and about with her, which I was like, I'm really glad, because, oh, this is what I almost forgot to mention. We did a behavior thing, and I was like, they're like, maybe behavioral euthanasia based on, like, all these things, because I'm not fully explaining, because I only have 15 minutes to explain some of this, but they were like, behavior euthanasia, I think, would be best. And I was like, I just think she doesn't like Stella. I think she has potential to be a great dog. It's her and Stella that are clashing. And when you get a dog, like when you get a new dog and they don't work out, you don't get rid of the dog you've had for years, you get rid of the puppy. That's why I clearly chose Penelope. I wasn't going to get rid of Stella, who I had for like 6-7 years at this time, I think. No, because I've had her for 9 years, 8 years. I don't know how long. I could do the math for how long I had Stella, but I've had Stella first, right? And she's doing great. That's why I have to think, like, when I get sad and I'm like, I miss her, I wish I never, like, got rid of her, I'm like, she's doing great, you know, she's just doing fantastic. They also have a fenced, I did at this time also have a fenced-in backyard. So they had to be leashed outside, the big dogs. And this lady has a tall fenced-in backyard, so she's able to, like, run around in the backyard. Because I would let her do that sometimes. She never jumped the fence, but I only would do that at certain times because I didn't want her to jump the fence. She was the only dog that never jumped the fence, and Maui. In that house, Stella jumped the fence, Echo jumped the fence, Sandy jumped the fence. She actually climbed the fence. But, yeah. Okay, I hope I got all the points I wanted. I'll show pictures, and I think if I miss something, I will put it up here too. But that's it for this video. I was always someone that said I would never rehome an animal, but just when you're when it comes down to it, sometimes that has to happen, and it was for the better. She's doing so much better at her new home, and it was just something there's things I couldn't give her that she's doing great with. I couldn't take her to work with me, but this lady can take her to work with her, and Penelope does great. She's doing amazing. Actually, I need to text that lady asking for a little update, because I haven't gotten an update in a month. But I need to slowly stop getting updates, but I love Penelope so much. It sounds like I don't when I make these videos. It sounds like I hated her, but I did love her so much. I loved her so much, but it didn't work out. I forget to look at you guys. I look at the pillow. I look at myself. I look at this hoodie I have to pick up that's on the floor. Whatever. But I don't know if you guys are gonna enjoy this video, but you can comment, you can like. If you guys have any ideas for videos you want me to make, you can comment down below, and I could try to make them. I have a couple. My next video is also gonna be next few videos probably are gonna be kind of But yeah, okay. Bye, guys. Mwah.